Hello, my fellow gamers. It's Jay with JXP, and we are talking gear guide. This is something I haven't done. I've touched on making gear, I've touched on gear and materials and different things throughout, but this is dedicated gear guide, start to finish. So we start out with the military, and when you're building the military, there's two buildings you want to work on for gear. One is going to be your Dragonite workshops, the other is going to be your blacksmith. So once you have those, and I believe C15 or C16, right around there is where you get your Dragonite workshops. So first things first, in the blacksmith, this is where a lot of your materials and gear happen. So your depot, your materials, your crafting, your upgrades, this is all for the blacksmith. Now for the Dragonite workshops, these are essential for being able to produce gear. You can't produce gear without Dragonite. They're expensive in the beginning. Gear them up, upgrade them up, get them to level 10, and if you can get them up to level 20, you're ready to rock and roll. It's just expensive creating Dragonite in the beginning. Dragonite workshops and the materials are controlled through this accessory production. It takes a while for things to come together here, but the basic refining of Dragonite speed, the basic processing, which is how fast materials are created, that's all controlled inside of here, the accessory production. Materials are the other struggle for doing your gear. So inside blacksmith, inside your materials, you're given the ability to, one, when you start out the blacksmith, you start with scavenger. You have to unlock the Dreadnought, Ranger, and Steel Cav with this info, more info. So at level 5, you can do Dreadnought, Ranger, and Steel Cav. That's when they get unlocked. The fourth item in the list, you'll see these 4 items here. The fourth is generally the most rare of each of the types of gear you're creating. These are the items that you see that are being processed. You can also speed them up. To understand materials even better, you need to understand the type of gear that's available to you. So these are all the types of gear that you can make, and they are kind of specific. Scavenger is for gathering. It can be used with any of the troop types, but it's best used with T1 Cav. They have the highest load capacity. Steel Cav, your Cavalry. Your Dreadnoughts are for your footmen, and your Rangers are for your archers. And understanding these types of equipment, and understanding that each type of equipment, there are 6 items per a set of gear, and if you go and open them, they tell you what the materials are that you need to be making. All of the materials that you're making and all the chests that you get from COP or from the ones that you buy through the gem store, they're found eventually in the depot. And I say eventually because anytime you are getting chests as rewards or purchasing them, you find them in your backpack. And they're under the others, and they are down in this section here. You'll see chests, and those chests, you have to open them up to get the materials out of the chests. And they eventually land here in the depot. And these are the same type of gear sets that you can create. If you click on one of them, it shows you what materials you have. So let's just combine materials, click on it, combine all, and you see them move up. It takes 4 items of a lesser color to make one of the advanced colors, and it keeps going all the way up to gold. If you don't have 4 items, you can't combine them up. Now you can also disassemble going downwards. So that's combining and disassembling, and that becomes important when you start to craft. But this is where you find your materials. This is where you also find your equipment. Getting materials is important, and there's a couple of ways to do that. Like I said, the gem store, COP, chest rewards, but most of the times you're going to have the materials shop, and there's a couple ways to get to it. So through the materials, this tab takes you to the materials shop. It requires Dragonite Fragments. So Dragonite Fragments are what you can use to buy these. It circumvents you having to use gems to buy them. You have the various chests in a green or blue item option. In your material shop, you're buying them, and they're not guaranteed. So if you look at like this, let's say rare Ranger chest, and you go to buy it, it says obtain 1 Blue Ranger material. It does not say which material, and it's a crapshoot kind of. You don't know if you're going to get the rare item or you're going to get one of the other 3 that you always get in chests. Now you can also go in there from the depot by going depot, going combine, and hitting get materials. This will let you buy them. And this is kind of like the gem store. So I would just stick with the green chests if you're going to buy them. They're cheap and they typically have more rares in that chest compared to the epic purple items. For Dragonite Fragments, you can get them from the Alliance store when you've finished, or just as you're finishing Season 3 Eden. They will be in here, 1 purchase per day. So that's kind of where it's at. And once you get them, they end up in your backpack. And inside your backpack, you'll find them here, like this one. I bought this one, so I'm going to do the 9,600 fragments for 4. It gets me a total of 38,000. And then those you can see down here, and you go to purchase them. That 48,000 can be used. You can buy blue or green. So if you don't have a good amount of Dragonite and you're still trying just to get gear sets built, using your fragments to get green chests will help you combine into blue and combine into purple faster. Alright, so we've talked gear type, we've talked materials, we've talked Dragonite, we've talked fragments. Now let's talk crafting. So inside the blacksmith, into the crafting section, pick the type of gear you want to craft. Each one of these has a specific arrangement of materials required. Crafting, it has 2 of the irons, 1 of the claw, and 1 of the feather. Now the jade belt requires 1 of each, this being the rare and these being the 3 other elements. Then you have the rancier, and the rancier requires 3 talons, 1 iron, and the helmet requires 3 talons and 1 feather. So when you go in and you change between the colors, what this is doing is it's showing you the power of each set. And if you go outside here and you click this I button, it tells you blue, purple, orange, and gold. Each one of them have their increased ratings. If you click this, it tells you what the effectiveness is on a 6-piece suit, and 4-piece minimum is kind of where you get your first buff. 6-piece gives you another buff and unlocks this active skill. So each one of these types has their own arrangement. You can see it right here, you can see it in the eye. For information, you can click craft and see its configuration. Alright, getting a full set of cav gear is no joke. As you can see in the chart, it takes 1,024 white material items to equal 1 material in gold. So this whole chart breaks down what each of the items within the gear set require, and it tells you the number of materials in base white. On the bottom corner of that chart, you see the grand total. For you to have a full set of gold gear, you need 6 gold feathers, 5 gold iron ores, 5 claws, and 8 talons. And you can see the associated colors in their material numbers next to it. And getting a full set of gold gear is no joke, especially when you're struggling with materials. So let me kind of just jump into working with materials and providing some material hacks. Here we go. So for the first thing that I want to point out is, you look at your materials and you're like, oh, I've got materials, but you got to factor costing, and you got to understand what that is. So when you go to craft and you pick your item and you pick your color that you want to craft, you have a Dragonite expense. So right now with this, if I wanted to create a orange plate, it's basically going to cost me 7,800 in Dragonite. And if I wanted to use diamonds to create it immediately, that's 2,306 diamonds. So if I wanted to do it in purple, purple is 843 units of Dragonite, and it's 1,236 diamonds to create it immediately. Now, the other thing you want to factor in is this, the percentage that you are guaranteed to make that color of gear. So just a couple of hacks would be, in this situation, I have 3 items that are used, 3 material items. So if I wanted to change, let's just disassemble this one down, and let's disassemble this one down, and let's change this from a purple to a blue. What that does is that gives me a chance, 70 or 69.8% chance of creating a purple, and a 30% chance or 30.2% chance to create a purple. And it only cost me 674 units of Dragonite, and it cost me 1,096 diamonds. Now, this is all factoring cost, because if I wanted to create this, I'd have to create 16 of these purple plates to make 1 gold plate. So 16 times this, 674, and 16 times this, 1,000 diamonds. You can see the costs start to add up. So if I just look at the orange, and I do the same setup with the orange, and I hack it by going as a purple, I spend 2,000 diamonds to make it immediately. I have a 71.4% chance to make an orange, and it cost me 6,000.1 Dragonite to make. So each has its cost, and by adjusting the materials a little bit, so let's go from a purple to a blue, it adjusts how much Dragonite I'm spending, it adjusts how many diamonds I'm spending, but it also adjusts the probability chance of me getting it. So right now, with this being a blue, I have a 66.7% chance to make an orange, I have 4.4% chance to make a purple, and a 28.9% chance to make a blue. And just like we were doing with materials before, when you're trying to make your materials, it takes 4 to move up in colors. If I risk gambling and doing this blue material here, there's a chance that I can make a blue piece of gear and lose all of those oranges, because those oranges would technically move down to blues. That is a risk I don't like to take. If we did purple and I adjusted that one down to green, I have the same probability, 63.8%, 29.8%. You can see the probabilities, but I'm not risking my oranges, I'm risking my purples. In Cav, we have these 6, and each 6 has their own setup. I'm going to need mostly purples and blues. So in my materials, I'm going to just take these up, combining them. Alright, so let's just start there. I hate when that happens. Combine, disassemble. So let's get to making some equipment. Purple set, I have dupes, so let's bring that down. 670, and let's do a craft on it. Only problem when you actually use speed ups is it makes you come out here to see what you got. And I actually got a blue. That sucks. I have 76,000 diamonds. So let's craft using diamonds now. What a purple. Purple. Alright, so now that we've crafted one of each of them, alright, so let's see what we've got in equipment now. So I was able to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I combine those purples, right here, 6 purples, combine them all, cost me 5,100 Dragonite to make an orange. So that's how we combine our equipment, but it does cost Dragonite. So if I do combine that and I make an orange, that's exactly what I want. Or I can disassemble and I can get the purple ropes that I was looking for. I'm gonna leave 4 in there. Only disassemble those, disassemble this blue one. Alright, so I have 4 jade belts that will become an orange belt. Technically 5, 1 is already assigned. So if I wanted to, I could disassemble 1. Knowing that I have an orange right there. So let's see what other equipment I can make in purple to be able to combine it when I have more Dragonite. So inside here, I now have 3 chest plates, 1 in blue. Let's disassemble this. Let's go here. That's one light. Combine. And combine. And let's take a risk and see. I'm now going purples with a green. See if this risk will pay off. Nope, it hurt. It hurt. Alright. Unequip. Combine. I don't have enough Dragonite. Alright. There's another really important aspect of gear, and that's advancing the gear once you've made it. When you get to gold equipment, you will have the ability to advance it. You can advance any equipment, but gold is probably the most important to advance to stay competitive. And when you advance it, it requires Dragonite at first, and that's up to level 5 I believe. We can always recycle anything that you've advanced. So let's just go back real quick and let's recycle this, and it returns 100% of what you've contributed to it. So it has 4,800 Dragonite and 2,500 Super Dragonite, and this is where Super Dragonite becomes important. Also, the Bloodsoaked Dragonite or Bloodsoaked crystals. I'll show you those. So I'm just going to recycle this. So as you see, it reset it back to 0, and I can advance it again. And going from 0, we're going to advance it up and see what levels we get. So this is what its attributes are. So this is where it shows you what you've increased. Alright, so at level 5, it requires Super Dragonite. So let's get both of those and advance it up. So inside the Alliance store, I do have the ability to buy Super Dragonite. So I'm just going to buy some Super Dragonite. Now, I don't have the ability to buy Dragonite, so on these Dragonite workshops, we can do a rush production. So when you do a rush production, it basically gives you a set amount, not the full amount, but a set amount. So rush efficiency has raised 50%. Now that is coming from my VIP shop, and it is something that I've activated, and as you can see here, it gives me an additional 298 Dragonite crystals on top of the 595 that would be normal in a rush. So I can just rush that. Now it depletes it, and I can refill it, and I can rush it again. I can rush it up to 6 times, but every time that I rush it, it decays the amount that it gives me. So there's another little trick where if you click on the Dragonite workshop, it kicks out what it's produced. So that was 169 without actually having to rush it. So I could refill it. So that was 130. That was 130. So you see, just by clicking on them and refilling them, it gives me more Dragonite available versus waiting for it to completely finish and then give me the yield. So if we go back in here and we go back into the depot, and if we go back in, oh, one thing I forgot, we need to get the Super Dragonite I just purchased. So just like the chests, the materials, you gotta open the Dragonite to get it to go into your main stock. So brought that over, and now we can advance this once more, and it's going to give me an additional 1.8% marching speed, tactical might 1.8%, and HP. So that's where it starts to really add values in the tactical might and HP of the Cav, and we can advance that. And so now I'm now at a level 8, and as you can see, I need more Dragonite, I need more of the Super Dragonite. I have in the actual Dreadnought, I have some equipment that's up to level 10. So if we look at what it requires at the advancing, alright, they're marching, so I can't show you. 1 second, let me fix that. Alright, let's take a look now. So at this point, to go to level 11, you need this, which is the Bloodsoaked Dragonite. Material shop. Bloodsoaked Dragonite from the material shop requires you to have 200 exotic crystals. So the exotic crystals come from killing Zoltans. I have in my backpack. I have 3,000 of those. So 10 of them cost me 200 exotic crystals. Advancing. All right, so I need a little bit more. So the last 3 sets of gear that I want to cover real quick are the Dragon Master, the Tyrant, and the Immortal. Dragon Master gear is good for any type of troop. It's important to compete, and it is unique in how it's made. So I will get into that in 1 second. First, let me go over the Tyrant. So the Tyrant, why it's important is it increases footmen more so than Dragon Master gear. So if you're footman heavy or footman focused and you want to really edge out the max you can on your footmen, you would use the Tyrant gear. The Immortal is the same. It's specific to archers, and it gives a little bit more resistance, might, and a little bit better performance than the Dragon Master gear for archers. But both the Tyrant and Immortal gear are a pain in the ass to create. So Dragon Master gear is your best bet. And with Dragon Master gear, the way it's made, it's not combining materials, it's combining gear to make Dragon Master gear. You have to have those pieces of gear made to be able to combine them together to get your 1 item of Dragon Master gear, and it requires Super Dragonite. Most of the heavy spenders really get an advantage early on because they are getting Super Dragonite. They are having large amount of diamonds to be able to purchase things that free-to-play players don't get. It is a grind to get to the Dragon Master gear for free-to-play players, but it is very possible. You can use a lot of the same techniques that you've used throughout the gear making process. I would say the #1 challenge at this point is Super Dragonite. So stockpile up your Super Dragonite available to use your Dragonite to purchase it. Sometimes you'll see it available for diamonds, but in your trading house is where you find it fairly regular. Another place for the Super Dragonite, like I said, is in your Alliance store. Now, if you're gonna buy it, there are I believe it's under equipment, and there are packs. So basically you can buy them so you can have your Super Dragonite, and right here, this is 6,000 units of Dragonite for $10. Like I said, it's definitely a spender's advantage. If you can afford it, it gets you started. This whole guide has been about everything that I've learned to this point. I am just about to have enough gear to start considering how to make Dragon Master gear. So that will probably be the next evolution for me, is getting enough gold sets so I can then figure out how to make my gold Dragon Master gear. I hope this guide was helpful. I hope, I know it's been 30 minutes and I know it's long, but gear is one of the toughest things to master, and I feel like it's taken me a long time to figure it out, but I wanted to share what I've learned. So hopefully it helps you guys eliminate some of the learning curve and, to get your gear in place and have a lot more fun competing in this game. All right, I'm Jay with JXP. I'm out.